Hello everyone, I'm here today with a flip-through video. I have finished my train travels album, so what you are seeing here is the last third of it because I had already done Winona and La Crosse, and so this is my portion that's all about the weekend trip I took to Milwaukee and Chicago. So here you can see a view of the train as I was leaving, and this is generally my station of choice. We do have quite a large station right here in St. Paul, Minneapolis, so that's generally where I leave from. There are times when I fly to Chicago and then take the train from Chicago to somewhere, but this was leaving from my home station, going to Milwaukee first, staying overnight, and then going to Chicago the next day. So as you can see here, I kept it pretty simple. I just used some alpha stickers. I used a long phrase here that's about travel therapy. Travel is therapy to me, so I thought that was very appropriate. And then I just did a little bit of pattern paper and some ink splattering. And then here, very simple, I had these two great photos I wanted to use, and it just happened the colors really worked out with all the blue and yellow. So I did some journaling as to why I went down there, because I can go to Chicago a lot. It's close for me, same with Milwaukee, but there were specific things I wanted to do, and it worked out for this weekend. And then I just had a simple card here, and I chose to add just a puffy dot in the middle of the geotag because without it, it just felt really flat and boring. Then I also wanted to showcase some pictures from while I was on the train. It was a very hazy day when I left, so the scenery, it wasn't that great. Plus, it was mid-December, so no leaves on the trees or anything. The ground was it was open because we hadn't really had snow. It had actually rained, and then it rained again. So the scenery just wasn't really anything to write home about, but still lovely in its own way. So I just chose two photos that I thought summed it up well. This is actually a 4x6. I just cut it in half, and it left me a huge spot where I could do stamping, which I love. And sometimes I do that on purpose when I'm composing a shot, thinking ahead. This one I didn't. I was just, looking out the train window, grabbed a quick shot, and this is what I ended up with. I did also want to include just my experience on the train, so it's just a quick selfie of me in my roomette. I had a private room. And then arriving into Milwaukee, so you can see the inside of the station. And this is not the train I was on that day. This is the Hiawatha, which runs only between Milwaukee and Chicago. I actually took a Hiawatha train the next day when I woke up and needed to get to Chicago. So now you can see both train sets. And then I also have a flip here, just very simple, some letters to show the city code, and then that I was relaxing on my ride. So the first thing I did is I went to the Milwaukee Public Library. If you aren't following their IG account, you should be. It's hilarious, especially if you're a library lover and a book lover. They do some awesome things on there. I follow them, and I was like, you know what? If I'm going to go to Milwaukee, I'm going to that library. I want to see if I recognize anybody. I actually did recognize one of the people that do the skits online. She passed me as I was walking down a hallway, and I was like, I know who you are, but I didn't want to totally fangirl and be that person and freak her out. So I just sort of nodded to acknowledge her. We didn't have a conversation or anything, and then I kept walking. But as you can see, the building itself is lovely. You should go just for that. So even if you don't see anybody that works on the IG account, at least go for the architecture because it's fabulous. So I just wrote a little bit about that, and then I got so many good pictures. I really had to pare down. So this is quite minimal compared to the number of photos that I took. And because these are so gorgeous and there's a lot happening, all I did here was stamping pretty much. I stamped there, I stamped here. I used these little puffy hearts from Felicity Jane, and that's it. Look at how beautiful that is. This is the ceiling and the dome. In the main lobby, when you walk in, that's what you see. Look up immediately, that's what you get. That alone was worth stopping in. Everything else was kind of a bonus. But I mean, how often do you see something that beautiful? And again, because there was so much happening here and I didn't want to take away from those lovely photos, I just kept it simple. I did a piece of foiled vellum, put a big ephemera piece on top. I don't have much call to use ones that big, so it's kind of nice that that worked out. I didn't do anything on these, really. There's a tiny little strip of vellum. Hopefully you can see it. Not sure if the camera picks that up well. Right there that I had left over, and so I just cut that and put it across the bottom. But I didn't want any phrases or anything like that on the rest of those pictures. And then over here, here's another chunk of that same vellum. I wanted it all to match. And then I just used a circular piece of ephemera. That's it. So it's not crazy by any means, but I love the look of this finished layout. So after that, it was time to really get settled into my hotel for a little bit before I went out for the night. So I stayed at the Spring Hill Suites, got a picture of that. This was the tree that they had done up in the lobby. And I just found some matching pocket cards that I could include. I wanted to bring out that blue color, and I love the way that that looks. Little bit of ephemera here, and then, I don't know if the camera's showing it well, but I did use a sparkle glitter pen on the snowflake, on here, just to give it a little something extra. So it may be hard to see right there, but if you were actually flipping through the album in person, it does actually show up quite well. After the 3rd Street Market, which is where I was here, then I went out to find this ornament trail, and that was kind of a disappointment. From the way that it read online, I thought it was going to be way more than what it turned out to be. So I don't know that I would ever do this again. I can't really be like, yes, you should go to Milwaukee to see this. Nope, I'm not going to give an endorsement for it. But you know what? To do it once and see what it was all about, sure. Why not? I was there anyway. So I included a couple of those. Again, I kept the embellishments very minimal. And I made a point in this album to keep everything flat, because I knew like I had a lot to fit in here, so I couldn't be using a ton of 3D things. And I think I did okay with that. So on my way back, I found an Irish pub for my dinner, and I got takeaway. I didn't want to sit in. I was done for the day, but I was marveling at even the fact that the pub was decorated. Everything was by that point. So I took some pictures from inside, just talked about my fish and chips that I got, and then that was it for the night. So when I got up the next morning, I hopped on the first train, which, if I remember right, I think it leaves at like 8:05 in the morning from... No, it has to be earlier than that, because you get into Milwaukee around 9, I think. So maybe the train leaves at like 7:30. I'd have to look back to check my times, but it runs like 6 or 7 times a day. And I took the earliest one so that I could have all day in Chicago before I took the train back home. So here I've arrived in Union Station, and they had it all done up for the holidays. So I wanted to showcase that because they do a beautiful job, and this tree is ginormous. If you ever have a chance to stop in there, if you're in Chicago at the holiday time, check out that tree because it's amazing. And then these were just some decorations I saw on the streets as I was walking to what I was doing when I was in Chicago. I think this is inside Macy's, if I remember right. I have some other pictures of Macy's too, but I think that was from inside, because you can just like walk in the revolving door quickly in the lobby and see the stuff and go out. You don't have to go in and shop or anything. And I just did some ephemera pieces I had. These are all from the same pack. Oh, and then this background is actually a piece of acetate. It's a transparency. I think it's from Pretty Little Studio. Don't quote me on that, but I think it is. And then I went on to St. James Cathedral because it's right around the corner from the Driehaus Museum, which was my ultimate destination at that time. So I thought, well, if it's right there, I'm going to stop in, because in all the times I've been to Chicago, I've never been in there. So I went in to take a look, and it isn't as grand as, say, some of the others like St. Clement's, but it's still lovely. So I went in, a couple pictures from the outside, just used a simple pattern paper. This is stamping. I have some very large stamps, so I decided to stamp that. This is the inside, and I will show the flip here. So again, I used a very minimal ephemera and embellishments, and I used stamping a lot, particularly in this section. So you'll see stamping here and here and here. So if I have all these stamps, I might as well utilize them, right? So then it was on to the Driehaus Museum to see the Tiffany lamp and vase inspired floral exhibit. So that's what these photos are featuring. And again, I had a ton. I had to really cut down. Like, I don't need to showcase every single thing I saw. It's fine. So I tried to pick the ones that best represented it. So that's what you're seeing here. I freaking love this lamp. And so I kept this very minimal as well. So I just had a little washi, journaled about this here. And then over here, because of this sort of wild, bright green, I didn't want to do a whole lot. So again, quick little piece of ephemera, a phrase label. Like, there's not much to this. These are just paper cardstock strips that I had to bring in some of the white. That's it. Once I was done at the Driehaus Museum, then I went to the Christmas market. So you can kind of see this was one of the last things I saw at the house inside the mansion. Again, very minimal embellishment here. I don't think it needs much more than that. And then I was off to the market, but the colors match really well. So I wanted to put those side by side, which is great. And then here, this is very much out of my comfort zone to do these. Sorry if you're hearing it's making noises over there. To do things that already have like built-in label areas or strips like this, I tend to journal in them most of the time, but I wanted to do something different. And so I actually was able to find 3 phrase strips that worked really well in there. So I didn't have to do a whole lot here. And then this foam sticker with all the glitter, I think that's the most 3D embellishing I did. And look at that. That's not even that wide. You can barely tell, but that's the most I wanted to do. These are more photos from inside the market. This was inside one of the shops that they had there, and I didn't buy anything in there. I really just wanted to go like look at everything and have the experience. So again, I had tons of photos. I really had to narrow down, and that's why this one is a collage. So I was able to hit 4 photos on that one 4x6, which is awesome. I love to do that when I have lots of photos that are somewhat similar so that I don't overwhelm my pages. And again, very minimal pattern paper, a couple of iridescent stickers. That's it. Ink splattering. Not rocket science. So when I was done at the market, I had to walk back to Union Station to catch my train. And I did a very slow walk because I had time. I wasn't in a rush and I wanted to enjoy it. So I went back to Macy's. So they have the big windows out front, similar like to what they do in New York. So I took some photos of that because they were very playful and cute, as you can see. And so I wanted to enjoy that. And then I just used some of the same ephemera from the pack that I used previously. I think I used it on like 6 different pages here, but I used some of those pieces. All of these are from that same pack. Actually, everything here is from there. And I just did some outlining to help them stand out a little bit, put that label on there. That's it. It wasn't anything crazy. And then here I am on the train once I had boarded again and off to St. Paul, Minneapolis to go home. And again, I had a private room, and so dinner's included with that because you leave at about 3 o'clock and I get back shortly before 11 p.m. So dinner was on the docket. And so I had my favorite, which is the salmon, and the lemon cake for dessert. Kept this very minimal again, puffy stickers, my journaling, one little phrase label. That's kind of it. And then this just talks about why do I enjoy train travel? Because this whole album is about taking the train. Here's why. I wanted to make sure I included something about that to kind of not justify the album, but kind of to just be like, here's why it's worth doing for me, is because I enjoy this so much. So I have that on there with a copy of my boarding pass. And I just wanted to showcase the inside of my room because I had booked a roomette, which is the smallest room, but Amtrak has a program where you can bid up a couple of days before your departure date if there are other rooms available. So I bid on a bedroom, which is the next size up. It's twice the space of a roomette. I got it for $65. I bid the lowest possible thinking, yeah, I'm never going to get this. They must have had a lot of rooms open because for $65 extra, I got twice the size, had it all to myself, and it was wonderful. So there you go. You've seen the whole Train Travels album. I think I will probably just use letter stickers here and write Train Travels on the cover to designate what it is, but otherwise, that's it. Here's another one completed. Thanks for watching.